The National Armed Forces in the Acts of Alb liberated in the morning a series of new mountains overlooking the center of the Directorate of Baqim, north of Saada province. The commander of the 3rd Brigade, Brigadier General Aziz Al-Khattabi, said that the army attacked Al-Houthi militia in Al-Adida mountain range, which overlooks the center of Baqim district from the north and other sites adjacent to it, and managed to liberate it. Al-Khattabi confirmed that the fighting resulted in the death and wounding of a number of members of the coup militia in addition to the capture of 2 others. The heroes of the National Army were able to recover quantities of weapons including snipers, machine guns and various ammunition and radio communication devices. At least 17 members of Al-Houthi militia were killed and at least 17 members of Al-Houthi militia were wounded by the fire of the National Armed Forces in the northern front of the province of Al-Bayda. A military source said troops of the National Army foiled an attempt to infiltrate by elements of the coup on the positions of the National Army in Al-Yasbil and Makhabi Al-Qarda'i on the front. The source confirmed that violent confrontation followed the attempt of the coupists to infiltrate, during which they suffered heavy casualties, while dozens of them fled toward Al-Wahhabiyya area of the Directorate of Sawadiyya north of Al-Bayda. The military source said that the army had regained a combat command and a variety of weapons the militia had looted from former army camps. Al-Houthi militia bombed houses of civilians in both the city of At-Tuhaita and the city of Hais in Hudaydah province late last night with mortars that caused a number of civilian casualties and severely damaged citizens' homes. Al-Houthi militia targeted the homes of a number of residents in the city of Hais with mortars, wounding a man in the 5th decade, was severely injured and damaged a number of homes with a number of children and women who were terrified by the brutal behavior that practiced by the Iranian Houthi militia in their neighborhoods. The Iranian-backed Houthi militia deliberately bombarded cities and densely populated neighborhoods throughout the west coast, leaving scores of victims and hundreds of wounded and dead people since the start of the war, he said. "55 students from the University of Sana'a was kidnapped during their gathering to get out of the March of the Hungary by Iranian Houthi militia. The sources confirmed that among the detainees were 18 students were taken to the police station and they transferred to the detention of unknown. Thousands of members of the Iranian Houthi militia are still deployed in the capital Sana'a in military and civilian uniforms, reinforced with patrols and armed vehicles and closing the streets leading to At-Tahrir Square. Al-Houthi militia closed Sana'a University and deployed tanks and armored vehicles in vicinity to intimidate students. Al-Houthi militia kidnapped a number of women who tried to demonstrate in the streets of the capital Sana'a in response to the calls of the Gift of Sana'a to protest the deteriorating economic and living conditions at a time imposed by the militia Houthi tight security measures in the street of Sana'a in anticipation of the demonstrations and prevent citizens to walk toward the Tahrir Square. The sources said that the militia of Al-Houthi coup spread its gunmen in the streets and neighborhoods near At-Tahrir Square, and the operation of military vehicles, public security forces, security central and police patrols throughout the capital. It also erected security checkpoints and military points that stopped citizens, searched them, and arrest those who refused them. The sources pointed out that the militia issued directives to its element to launch a search campaign on the hotels and restrooms of the capital Sana'a and arrested many young people who do not have personal identities. The Houthi militia fear the Hungary Revolution, which activists called on social network sites to protest against the arrival of the capital Sana'a from the collapse of the currency and the rise of mad prices. Gunmen of Iranian Houthi militia attacked a protest in the province of Ib to denounce the collapse of the currency and the deterioration of living conditions. Local sources said that armed Houthi dispersed a women demonstration in front of the gate of Ib University after beating the participants and confiscating the telephones and signs. The sources said that the participants returned to rally and stand in front of the local authority building in the province of Ib despite the difficult security measures. The leaders of the party, sheikhs and dignitaries in the city of Sa'da, the National Army of the Rapid Intervention and imposition of control over the city of Sa'da to end the conflict between followers of the militia Houthi, which resulted in the deaths of dozens and the demolition of many homes in the city of Sa'da. In a statement to Brigadier General Abdul Mujalli, the official spokesman of the armed forces, the National Army received requests for help from the sons of Sa'da, party leaders, elders, and dignitaries living in the city, in many of the internal damage caused by the use of heavy and medium weapons, and that the National Army is closely monitoring what is happening in the city of Sa'da of continuous clashes between various factions of the Houthi militia of Iran. The official spokesman of the armed forces said that al-Houthi militia backed by Iran, the crisis erupted between them to turn from threats and statements to the use of weapons. And this difference was caused by the distribution of positions and leadership, especially in Sa'da. The Houthi of the opponents of the militia Houthi 1 pointed out that this event preceded events in Sa'da between the conflicting parties Houthis for the same reasons. He pointed out that the steady progress of the National Army towards Sa'da and the conflicts between the coup will contribute greatly to the liberation of the city and stop the terrorist operations carried out by al-Houthi militia, especially with regard to stopping the firing of ballistic missiles toward populated cities and neighboring countries of Yemen. And this move will be built on the data inside Sa'da, stressing that the National Army will do everything possible to save civilians from this conflict and impose control over the city. Eyewitnesses said that hundreds of worshippers left Adhiya Mosque in Ib city, rejecting Imam al-Houthi's sermon. The Friday sermon of Abu al-Muqbil al-Kibsi, appointed by Iranian Houthi militia, is the director of guidance in a province. Dozens of worshippers refused to listen to the sermon and said it was charged with sectarian fanaticism, insulting as-Sahaba and provoking the people of a province. One of the worshippers said that he left the mosque during the sermon with a large number of worshippers and were forced to pray in another mosque, rejected the sermon of Imam al-Houthi. 4 years ago, the Houthis tried to provoke the people of a province with all ways and use repressions against civilians.